So welcome everyone to Bali Spirit Conversations. My name is Francie La Flow, and today I get to interview the incredible Nessi Gomes here at Bali Spirit Festival. It has been just this incredible gathering of humans from all over the planet sharing their gifts and their beauty and their magic and their medicine. And last night we got to experience your concert, and it was epic. It was so incredible to be in just a mass of human beings really taking in all of your messages and singing along with you. It's such a privilege to get to be a part of that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I had a lot of fun. So
you seemed like you had a lot of fun.
I was rocking out. I was really, I was really flying. It was a wonderful, wonderful crowd and environment.
It's amazing, like one woman, one guitar. Normally for like a headliner act, you would guess that there would be a huge band, and yet it was more than enough to have you, and you held that for 90 minutes or however long, just solid.
I don't know, like somehow I feel really good in that kind of setup when it's just me and my guitar. I feel like I can communicate the energy of the songs somehow with more like intention and more intensity than when it's with a band. I mean, I love playing with a band. I don't do it often, but when I do, sometimes I feel like it loses a little bit of that delicacy. And I think there's a lot of freedom when I play on my own. I can just go wherever I want with it. You know, I don't have to be like so aware of like, okay, now this is where we change. And, you know, I feel really limited by that sometimes. I think it's a real art playing with people, and it's something that I'd love to still explore, but I really love playing when it's just me and the guitar. I just, yeah, it feels very like a powerful place to be, you know.
But even more than just you and the guitar, it felt like you were in deep conversation with the audience. We were your band also.
Yeah, totally. It was there's a real kind of relationship that happens when that's really cultivated and present. It's like, it's also one of the things that I love when I encourage people to sing, because I like to kind of just like cut this kind of notion that it's like artist audience. It's like, for me, it's like how we create this space together, because I get fed by the audience. Like, that's my food. The energy of the audience is what feeds me in my music, and make me, you know, helps me to feel the aliveness of the songs, and helps me to, you know, just by feeling the audience, I can see what kind of energy I need to bring into the songs, because it's more than just singing the words. It's really like the intention and the kind of the sound, the frequency of the sound. Like, every note for me is like a little arrow, you know, and I've sung these songs like a squillion, billion, trillion times, and every time is different, because it's really kind of working with the energy of the audience and the space. And, you know, that's what makes it really live. Because when I'm at home and I kind of have to refresh it in my mind, it can be so, oh god, not again. But when I have that aliveness in the moment, you know, just looking at somebody, and if I see tears are coming, or, you know, if I see somebody just like, I don't know, like you can feel the connection that they're getting from the song and the energy. It's like, as a musician, it's like my food to kind of keep giving, you know. It's like this, like a cycle,
Reciprocal
energy. It's beautiful. It's like my favorite thing. And
the theme for this year's Bali Spirit is come together. And for me, when I hear your music, and I've seen you live a few times, and every time it's a different experience, it's an emotional experience every time. Every time it's an invitational experience. And I feel that the invitation is to really deeply listen, listen to you and the frequency that you're presenting, and to listen to the within, but also to bring my voice and to be a part of that. And the more that I use my voice and come together with you and everyone, there's something magic that happens that just transcends the personal.
Yeah, I think, like, you know, especially like last night, and I think with all music, I think it brings that quality of coming together. You know, it's like we find common ground through the songs, and it's not even about me. You know, I'm just kind of the artist that's presenting the songs, but those songs touch you because it's a reflection maybe of something that speaks to your own truth. You know, and it's and you know when we sing these songs and you see, it's funny to see the kind of evolution of that 1 hour and a half, you know, and it's like in the beginning maybe the energy is a little bit kind of scattered, and then slowly you just feel this kind of this container growing and becoming more solid, and then the unity, you just feel this sense of unity and togetherness, and it's such a beautiful thing. And I think, you know, that's one of the wonderful things about music, is that it has that quality to unite us and bring us together and help us feel like we're all on the same page. And you know, we might all come from very different backgrounds, experiences, and music has that ability to kind of dissolve all these kind of ideas of separation and then bring us into this one field. And it's like a one pulsating organism. It's not like individual pieces or humans. It's like one beating heart, one beating song, rhythm. And it's like, yeah. And then I get taken on that as well, because then I dissolve and I'm not aware. You know I can compare it to times where I'm in my head as an artist and I'm maybe not feeling as kind of connected, you know, going through some internal process and then feeling that separation. But then when you feel that moment, like yesterday, it was just like, I don't know, something else takes over, and it's like, it's not necessarily me there anymore. You know, it's, yes, it's my voice, it's my playing, it's my, but I'm not in my head, I'm not in my mind, I'm in this kind of field, and it's such a wonderful, beautiful thing. And I think that's why music is so powerful. And I think that's why gatherings like this are so powerful, because we can come back to this place of remembering, you know, this space of togetherness and unity, you know, put all our differences aside, even if it's for just a moment, like just to have a moment to remember that you know, we're all in that space together.
There's such a coherence and a resonance, and it's exactly what you said. It feels like, you know, you really step out of the way and become this channel, and then what moves through you is what's moving through everyone, and we're just in this field of, it's a prayer field.
Yeah. It's also like, you know, these songs, when I play them live, there's the skeleton, and, you know, I've got the songs, you know, it's the song is there, but then there's always this kind of unknown. It's like this sense, you know, this kind of quality of bringing a bit of improvisation. And I don't know, a melody will come when I'm playing, and then I'll start like working with that and working with the audience in that way. And when when it's being received and being sung back, it's like we're just kind of like, yeah, it's just so alive and beautiful, and it's real magic, and you can get so high from it and then forget how long you're playing for.
Well, that's flow.
Yeah.
That's like that timeless state of just pure presence and joy and effortlessness. Love that so much.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I love the way that you just from the get-go really invite people into their voices and into their own medicine. And I love the way you dissolve that barrier between, again, being a performer and having the audience. It's like we're all in this together.
Yeah,
Have you always done that?
I think so. I mean, you know, my earlier years when I was doing music, I was in a funk band for like 5 years.
Cool.
When I was living back home from the age of 19 to 25. Before that, I was kind of doing a lot of like indie grungy music. I was so into like Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins.
Of course.
You know, like loved all that. Beastie Boys. You know, my musical taste was very eclectic. But as a kind of early songwriter, you know, exploring music in the earlier days, it was more of kind of the introspective stuff, which I loved. But then I got into a funk band, and I loved it because, you know, I just remember that feeling of seeing somebody in their, I don't know, 70s getting up and just being taken by the music and getting down. And we would do like all crazy, you know, fun covers like James Brown and all that kind of stuff. And the joy it brought me, you know, to see people like so connected to the music through dancing, and then like, you know, of course, being a singer and singing songs and having people sing along is like, you know, for me over the years, it's like I have this very introspective part in my songwriting, but I also love the celebration and I love the singing together. And I I don't like this kind of, I don't know, I don't really consider myself a performer. Like I'm not, I always feel like I'm not performing. It's really it's my true kind of way of being myself is through the songs. You know, it's, you know, I love, you know, just to be in that space and to make it like we are creating it together. It's like I don't like to feel divided from the audience. I don't like, you know, sometimes that can feel quite tricky, you know, like it's not always easy to navigate that. So for me, part of the magic is when, you know, it's like that whole thing of being an artist is just being dissolved, and you know, you're like, it's like you're kind of a ecosystem together, if that makes sense.
Totally. And so that informs, tell me, I'd love to hear about your songwriting process, because your songs are epic, and
Thank
people
you.
around, you know, I hope not to
Thank you.
embarrass you,
No.
but, you know, I love singing your songs and sharing them in sister circles and in vocal activation classes and all around the world. There are people carrying your music. How does that feel?
Do you know what? It's like, it's still quite mad. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel so incredibly blessed and honored to know that my music has traveled to so many different corners of the world. And, you know, like coming from a little island, Guernsey, which nobody really knows. Um, and yeah, and just actually being taken from, with, you know, from by the music, because I got into music, when I got into singing, it wasn't because I wanted to become a singer and I had this big, you know, kind of ambition to like become like an artist in the world. Like it was never in my sphere really. I got into singing like mostly because it was just really incredibly healing for me, you know, and that was back in the days when, God, I sound really old when I say that, but like, you know, before social media and everything, and like everybody used to like have little bands and garages, and like at the weekend we would just hang out with friends and like rock out, and I just found it incredibly therapeutic. And you know, to see the evolution of my work, you know, and to see that my music is taking me to all these amazing places in the world, and to have people singing my songs back to me, it's like it's quite something, you know. And it's, you know, and also to know that there's been times that maybe these songs have really supported people in really difficult moments in their life. It's like that's like the ultimate, for me, the ultimate kind of honor and compliment to know that it's brought them comfort. You know, it's brought people comfort. And but I think all music does that, right? It's like, you know, I listen to, you know, if I look back to all the artists that I was kind of following and into, it was, you know, it's, there's something so beautiful about how a musician or an artist can label something that you're going through that maybe you don't have words for, and somebody's expressing that through a song, and it touches you. And maybe it's not even through words, maybe it's just a feeling, you know. Like my background's, I grew up, you know, listening to Fado music. My background's Portuguese, and Portuguese Fado music was very present in our household. My grandmother, she loved an artist called Amelia Rodriguez, and I remember watching an interview about Fado music, and they said the artist that was speaking about it, she said, it's not necessarily something that you need to understand. It's something that you can feel. And for me, it's all about feeling. Like, it's not just the words. The words are not enough for me. It's about how to convey the emotions of those words, how to really bring the emotion alive through the words. Because there's a million ways to do that. And that's always what kind of navigates me through songwriting, is like, first the emotion needs to be like, the first part, because that's what kind of ignites this kind of seed of songwriting. And it doesn't come easy. It's not like I'm always in that flow. They come very slowly, and but yeah, for me, it's all about the feeling. Maybe the words don't really say so much, but that you feel so much information through the frequency of the song, And I love emotional songs. I love writing emotional songs, and heart-wrenching kind of like, and that's very much connected to my Fado lineage. Like, it was when you hear the kind of Portuguese folk singers, like the women, that they're singing with so much, you could hear the heartbreak, and it's so beautiful and like so poetic, that kind of, it's just, it creates this kind of nostalgia, and I love that. And that's what really kind of inspires me in my songwriting. I don't really, it goes between two, because I really love it when it gets really like funky and groovy. Like, I love seeing that, and when I'm kind of jamming with the audience, that comes really through for me. And that's especially when we've been in a bubble of like feeling, and then it's like, okay, like let's just kind of explode that. So yeah, I pivot between those two. It's like the real emotional stuff, and then the kind of groove, and the like dance. Yeah, I love all that. Yeah.
We love all that too.
Yay!
And that poetry really comes through. I remember the first time I heard These Walls, and it was like, oh, just like put words to what was moving through me that I didn't quite have the lexicon to describe within myself.
It's so funny, because when I recorded that song, I didn't think it was really good, and I wasn't going to put it on the album. And I didn't even play it for ages in my set, because I didn't think it was. It's so funny, our perception of our own creations. And like, I remember playing a gig in the States a couple of years ago, and I didn't play it. And then somebody was like, "You didn't play These Walls." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I kind of grew to love it again. It's just funny how, I don't know, like I'm pretty critical of my own creations, and sometimes, I don't know, it's good to have this, and actually it was the easiest song to record as well. Like, it was one of the quickest songs to record. I think it was like, if I remember correctly, it was just a couple of takes vocally, and you can hear the rawness in those words. And it was also born from this time when I was kind of starting my journey with like my music, and I was really going through all these kind of insecurities, and just like being aware of all those voices internally, and like the voices that were just kind of that inner critic, which I know we all have it. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, that album was really a kind of honoring our human traits, like just honoring the shadow side of our humanness, and loving it, and being okay with it, and giving it a voice, and not just kind of being in this facade of like, oh, I'm so perfect, and I don't have any flaws, and I'm so positive, and I wear my heart on my sleeve, and that's how I like to write my music. I don't like to write in a way that's just superficial, and I always like to bare my heart and be true in my songwriting. I can't just write about stuff that doesn't have particular deep meaning for me. It's got to be really sincere. Otherwise, I don't connect to it. It's lovely to sing a nice song. It's all good. Like just, but for me, what inspires me is as a composer when I'm writing is just to feel myself in that way.
Feeling moved.
Yeah,
And I feel like with your music, you really help to inspire this quality of giving people permission to just play with their dreams and play with their bigness and include the parts of themselves that are self-critical and are maybe keeping them small and encouraging people to rise. I feel it's so alive right now, this desire that people have to awaken their throat chakra and find their voice and sing. And I know that you're doing this vocal Odyssey work. I got to do a workshop with you here. It was amazing. And yeah, I would just love you to share a little bit about what you experience with people in those workshops and how your journey is helping in that space.
I think. Well, look, for me again, it was all starting with my own journey, and I got into singing at a young age simply because I was just a really troubled kid, and I found using my voice was one of the quickest tools to kind of come back home to myself, and like I studied healing arts for 3 years, and I did a degree in that, and then I studied holistic voice therapy with the British Academy of Sound Therapy. Because for me, it was like, yeah, I play guitar, but that's not really my instrument. The voice has always been like my greatest passion, and I'm so curious about it. And, I wasn't particularly skilled at singing in the beginning, and but it was about how it made me feel. And I guess I got inspired when some years ago a friend asked me, she was like, "Oh, voice lesson," and I was like, I don't know how to do any of that. I'm not interested in technique or like it's not really something that I feel particularly passionate about. But then it planted a seed and I was like, but I am passionate about the voice and I'm passionate about our relationship to our voice and how actually, you know, singing from a holistic point of view, how it can just bring us back into our bodies, back into our hearts, kind of get us out of our heads. It's such an powerful medicine. And I've seen like how much beauty it brings into people's lives. And actually, sometimes when people do this work, it's not even about the singing. Like they do this work and, it's kind of bringing in other gifts into their life, maybe it gives them some insights and it's kind of opening some channel that they're able to see what's ahead of them that they didn't necessarily have the ability to see, because they're just inundated with, stuff in their life that's not really kind of supporting them. I don't know. It's such a beautiful journey, and I feel incredibly honored to kind of be on this path and work with so many people. And again, we're creating it together. I'm not actually teaching anything. I don't teach. I don't. It's like we're creating this field together because everybody has the wisdom within themselves. And actually, when we use the voice, it's such an amazing tool to access that inner knowledge. We all have it. It's like most of the time, I'm just like, you know, I don't have my shit together half the time. But when I sing,
Relate.
it's like now and again I get these little golden nuggets, these little moments of kind of clarity or wisdom. And I think we all have that.
It's like a fully embodied meditation when we're
Yeah.
singing. Like it can really just deeply anchor you in the present moment and create those conditions in which insight and authenticity can move through.
Yeah, absolutely.
Such a gift.
Yeah.
I lost my voice for a year and a half after some like acute kind of traumas happened. And it just became such a journey, just feeling so vulnerable here and not being able to speak up for myself and not feeling. And eventually, like a long journey later, it really came to this feeling of not really giving myself space or permission to take up space, not allowing myself to be heard and seen in my majesty and holding myself small. And the more I embody my voice, the more I own my voice and myself, the more it seems to have this ripple effect on other people.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I look, it's an amazing tool, and we all have access to it. And it's just creating those safe containers, because so many people, including myself, I have those moments where I don't feel safe in my voice. It's not a linear journey. And also how to be compassionate with ourselves when we don't feel in our full power of our expression. It's a real journey, but it takes that cultivation and curiosity and gentleness, because it can be very cathartic, and it can bring things really to the surface that we weren't expecting. And it's I feel very, very lucky. Well, I don't think lucky is the word, but I feel very blessed to be able to share this work. And I'm continually learning and growing, and I don't have all the answers. I'm still finding my way with it. And I learn so much from others. When I'm in that space with people, it's sometimes the most powerful moment is when you see someone else step into their power. And again, it might not necessarily be around their voice, but you can see something alive kind of taking form, and it gives you that, like, I don't know, that beautiful inspiration.
Oh, I love that you brought compassion and safety and, embodying humility around this and just sharing this message of the voice being this healing force and this being the main thing that's informed your own journey and this gift you have of inspiring and empowering others to be their own healer through their voice or through whatever. And as we kind of wrap up our conversation for today, is there any last little piece of advice that you could offer the people out there who are on this journey, on their vocal odyssey, on this healing path with their voice and artistry?
I think just keep singing. That's it. Like, the only way, yeah, it's really simple. There's actually no big hoops to jump through. It's just to keep doing that little, sing with your children, sing with your families, sing for yourself, sing for the earth, sing. There's so many ways that we can connect to our voice, and the only way to really kind of build that relationship is maintaining it and cultivating it and watering it and nourishing it. And like, I know it for myself, if I kind of don't sing for a week, I'm not gonna like, I'm gonna, something will be amiss. And it's like, and it's funny because when I come back to singing or just using my voice in a kind of like, therapeutic way, I'm like, oh God, yeah, that's why I do this. Like, that's why it helps. So yeah, it's a really simple little, you know, bit of advice, and it's just to keep going with it. Doesn't have to be serious. Like, sing 5 minutes a day. Whatever, mumbo jumbo, whatever.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Thank you so much.
Such a gift, such a pleasure. Thank you for coming to Bali. Come back soon.
Yes, I will. Thank you.
We love you.
I love you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.